None other than Dylan Cease coming off of the no-hitter in yesterday's ball game. First, Dylan, how have you gotten any rest? I assume you got a lot of messages yesterday.
Yeah, I got. I'm still going through them, texts and social media and whatnot. Yeah, I got a little bit of rest. I definitely went to sleep late last night. I've watched a lot of highlights and a lot of stuff pertaining to yesterday. It's still just so surreal to watch, but yeah, I'm a little tired today, but I'm in a good mood, I must say.
I can imagine. Well, let's take us down into yesterday's start. I mean, over the last three, we could have very well had this same conversation the previous two starts. But at what point in yesterday's ball game did you start to feel like this could be something that could happen?
I think it gets very serious after 7. Before that, it's sort of like so much has to go right that I really don't worry about it too much. At that point, it's like I'm just going to attack the zone, and if they put it in play and they get a hit, then that's just part of the game. But I feel like after the 7th, it kind of turns into we're really trying to not give up a hit. So that's been my strategy for my last 2 attempts, at least.
Talking to Dylan Cease, fresh off of a no-hitter yesterday against the Nationals. And Dylan, there was a moment yesterday where I thought Mike Shildt was actually going to take you out of the game, but you seemingly talked him into letting you go back out there. Can you let us in on what you said to him to let him keep you out there?
Yeah, I said I feel strong. Throwing 100. We got 6 days rest coming up. I did 113 earlier in the year. And then just stuff like that where I was just trying to build a case, and then Joe and Crony were there and they kind of backed me up. So I think collectively we're all able to talk him into it, and thankfully he let me go back out there.
And so you have a relatively quick 8th inning. I mean, how good were you feeling going into that 9th inning in terms of stamina, mental? Where were you at in terms of how you felt?
Oh, I felt great. At that point it was just, is destiny going to be on my side or not? But I feel like I was in a very good position to do it.
We're talking to Dylan Cease here, and going back to the beginning of the game, Dylan, the rain delay kind of threw everything off a little bit, but there were questions as to whether or not you were even going to come out and start the game after that hour-plus delay. You did, and it was a very good decision. What were you thinking during that rain delay?
I don't know if I was thinking too much other than just kind of focused on how my body felt and like making sure I was moving every so once in a while and not going 20 or 30 minutes where I was just being sedentary. So my main focus turned to basically either stretching or bike or light toss, and then once we found out kind of when the tarp was going to be moved and all that, I was able to sort of formulate a plan as to when I wanted to get off the indoor mound and throw maybe 20 pitches or so and just kind of get everything ramped up to high speed again.
Dylan Cease joins us here on Gwen and Chris. And Dylan, as I mentioned, over the last 3 starts, you have been just phenomenal as it pertains to, be throwing the ball off the bump. You went through a little bit of a rough patch there, and it never seemed like you were throwing the ball all that bad. Sometimes it was just, one or 2 bad pitches in an outing. But what has happened in these last 3 starts that has you so dialed in right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was just a mechanical change I made where I'm keeping my glove close to my body, and for whatever reason, I think it's harder for the batters to pick it up, and it's making me sync up to where I'm throwing harder and my stuff's sharp, and for the most part, I'm executing better just in general. So, it's kind of one of those things where I was just for 2 months I was just trying to find it, and then finally we got it syncing up, and right now the results have been really good.
Yeah, they've been fantastic so far, and as we're moving into the second half of the season, Dylan, obviously you guys aren't at 100% to this point. I mean, how important is it for this staff to I don't know necessarily be able to go this like they have the last couple times around, but how important is it for you guys to continue to throw the ball as well as you guys have?
Oh, it's extremely important. I mean, it pretty much sets the tone. If you have a series where your starters go deep and they dominate, it really is, sets a tone, creates momentum, kind of creates an atmosphere, I feel like, to where, everybody's just a little more locked in because they know it's within reach. Whereas, maybe if you get down early and you get down 5 runs early, then it's you're kind of fighting with your back against the wall. So, I mean, starting pitchers, we know that our job is to take the ball and go as deep and effective as we can.
Talking to Dylan Cease here on 97.3 The Fan, and you just said you were making adjustments, you're holding your glove closer to you. I never really thought about like making adjustments during the season. I just think of a pitcher being able to just pitch, but how often are you making adjustments? Or is it just once you find something you stick with it and hope it works for forever?
Oh, it's always changing in my experience. You can do one cue and it'll work, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, something else has to be done. But, I mean, hopefully this one's the one that lasts the rest of my career, but I've played long enough to know that's not usually how it works. But, no, I mean, I feel like in between every starts, I'm working on something. It could be something as simple as my previous start, I feel like I didn't get down the mound as well as I'd like to, so then I go and kind of work in the lower half, or, maybe I feel like I was a little open or this or that, or my eyes were under the target, I always trying to find little things to kind of refocus on.
Dylan, it certainly seems like you and Luis Camposano have been on the same page in these last three. Is there something to the fact that you guys seemingly are on the same page? You don't see too much shaking off while you've been on the mound over these last couple.
Yeah, I think I think he does a ton of work, ton of prep work, and I think as a whole, the staff has a really good idea of the best way to attack hitters. So when you kind of prepare and you know what you want to do, it turns into going out and taking action and doing it.
We're talking to Dylan Cease here, and you talked with our guy Sammy Lev yesterday after the game on the Padres postgame show, and you said that you, after it happened, you let out a primal yell, and then you yelled yes 50 times. I just want to go back to that moment. Is it like a moment that you can actually remember, or did you kind of black out a little bit?
No, I can remember it. It was just, the middle of that pile, everyone's jumping, and yeah, it was just screaming yes. It was really hilarious. It was I don't know if it was just because the moment was so big and just so happy in that moment, but just seeing everyone smiling and screaming and yelling, and it was something I'll never forget.
Well, Dylan, certainly it was you gave a lot of San Diegans some memories that they'll never forget, and congratulations on the no-hitter yesterday. Continued health and success moving forward, because you certainly have thrown the ball extremely well here as of late. Keep rolling, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.